Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're back on the Corvette again. You guys might be wondering, well, what's going on this time? Well, I was working on my oil pan project from the previous week with the crank scraper and the baffle from Improved Racing. Well, I noticed my front of my aluminum subframe was all wet. I was like, what the hell? Like I didn't have any leaks that far forward. You know, any of the leaks were just the oil pan and all that stuff. But I noticed that the whole front subframe, and looking up, it was covered in purple. I'm like, well, what the hell is purple? Because I have green coolant in the car. I've got your motor oil, trans fluid, red, brown, black for the motor oil. So I looked up under the engine bay and I saw the bottom of the power steering tank reservoir leaking. I was like, what the hell? Then I remembered, I've got that royal purple steering fluid in it. I think it's like a synthetic based steering fluid, and you know, it actually being purple helped identify what it was, because I smelled it. It didn't smell like motor oil, didn't smell like coolant, and it was kind of a weird, you know, it had no smell. I didn't taste it because I'm not tasting fluids, but you know, it didn't have a particular fluid smell or anything like that. Alright guys, so if you look way up there, you can see the bottom of the tank. You see the ABS pump in the front right here? That's the ABS pump. But if you see that line that's going like a 90-degree up, that is actually going, that's the power steering cooler going out back to the reservoir. Well, as you guys can see, that entire assembly is wet. So I think I broke the tank again. So when I did this engine, the blower swap like 2 years ago, I had a similar problem with breaking that tank. I don't know if it's heat that's breaking the tank. I don't know if it's me just dropping the subframe even like an inch and there's no play in the hoses. That power steering cooler line, I know it has play in it. There's plenty of play in it. There's plenty of slack because I've taken that steering cooler off the front of the subframe, let it dangle, and it's got plenty of slack. What I'm thinking it might be an issue with that power steering cooler, I'm sorry, the power steering pump and tank, is actually the hose going from the tank to the power steering pump assembly itself. I don't remember that being a super long hose, and that might be what the problem is. I'm just not sure. But to help prevent even more downtime, I already went ahead and ordered the Moroso aluminum power steering tank. Since this is the second one I've had to buy, I was like, screw it, I'm going metal this time. I had the factory one. I had the plastic one that lasted like 2 years. Like, and that tank's like $40-some. Yeah, a piece of plastic's like $40 and something like that. So I said, screw it. I ended up getting the Moroso one. Hey guys, as you can tell, I'm in the SS. It's actually like 55 degrees today, so it's not a bad day to take one of the nice cars out. And you guys might be wondering where we're going. Well, I'm actually headed up to Mooresville, North Carolina. There's a powder coater called Race City Powder Coating, and I'm gonna go get some parts coated. One of the parts that I'm gonna be getting coated is this Moroso power steering tank. This came in from my order. As I showed you earlier in my video, the power steering tank was leaking. So I ordered this Moroso unit. It came in, and it's actually pretty good quality, guys. I'm pretty impressed with the TIG welding and the overall construction of the tank. I think this is gonna look real good. The only problem I have with this tank is the fact that it's brushed aluminum and like it's been TIG welded on, you know. If I had some chrome bits or anything shiny under the hood, but really I don't. Even the fuel rail's like a silver. It's not shiny, not polished. there's not much in the engine bay that's not black. So that was going to stick out like a sore thumb, being, you know, right next to the throttle body and right next to the supercharger. So I decided to get that thing powder coated. I don't know what the turnaround time on this is going to be. It might be a couple days, might be a week. I don't know. But anyway, so we're headed up to the powder coaters to get that coated. And it's going to be a satin black, flat black type finish. I don't need it to be a gloss black. All right, so we are here. And as you can see, they've got the big Ray City powder coating sign up front. So let's pull in here and see how much our job's going to be. He quoted me like $35 for the 2 pieces, and should be done middle next week. So it's Friday, so they'll do it Monday, Tuesday, and probably pick it up Wednesday, something like that. So I am back from the powder coaters, and I picked up the parts. Now, the part in my hand is the power steering tank from Moroso. You can kind of see their logo in there. And no, that's not a run in the powder coat. There's actually a bracket inside the tank, and that's like where it's welded, so you can kind of see that little ridge there. But the powder coating came out pretty damn good, guys. Like, I'm really impressed with this. And I wanted a flat black, satin black finish, whatever you want to call it. And this is going to look pretty damn cool sitting in the engine bay. Now, the Corvette's still in the lift, but this tank will actually sit right next to the blower. So, you know, that flat black's going to look really cool right next to the blower. This almost makes me want to take parts off the car and get more stuff powder coated, but fortunately the stuff that I want to get powder coated has sensors and, you know, rubber gaskets and parts in it, so those I can't get powder coated because of the heat. But, you know, this was only $15 to powder coat. I mean, you can't get, you know, well, plus gas and time to get up there, but that's all right. You know, I couldn't paint this for that. You're looking at like $5 or $6 for a can of primer, $5 or $6 for a can of paint. And what happens when you get power steering fluid on it? What happens when you get, hate to say it, brake fluid, engine oil, anything on it? You know, that stuff's just gonna run. So with the powder coat, hopefully it lasts, you know, it holds up. And like I said, guys, this looks pretty damn good. These are the first parts I've ever personally had powder coated. You know, I've had cars for really long. I've had the Corvette for over 10 years. You know, maybe I'm starting a bad trend, but we'll see. All right, guys, as you can see, I finished installing the power steering tank from Moroso that we had powder coated. Install was pretty easy. All I had to do was take the two 15mm bolts out of the bracket. It's on the back side here. Take those out. Disconnect the hose on the side and the bottom. Disconnect those two hoses. Take the stock unit out. Then I put the Moroso tank in. Hook the two hoses up. Now what I did was I hooked the hoses up before I tightened down those bolts, because just wanted to make sure everything was going to be in its correct place before I lost access to it. Because sometimes when you tighten the bolts in, you lose access to the hoses. So put the hoses in, and I angled them this time to where I could pretty easily reach them and, you know, get access to them with a socket. So the tank is in, it's not leaking. I put the harness back in. I had disconnected this harness here and pulled the support pin here, pulled that out of the way just so that I could get access to the tank. If you guys want more access, you could take the throttle body off and the alternator off, and that should give you plenty of access to get to this tank. Now, if you guys are struggling and need more room, you could take the alternator out, you could take the throttle body off, and that'll give you all kinds of access to the side, bottom, top, and that would give you more access. It would be more work, but you'd get more room to get into the bolts and stuff of this tank. But honestly, guys, I maybe struggled a little bit with it, but I was able to get everything just loose enough to get all my correct angles on sockets and extensions to get all that stuff undone. So if you guys end up finding a leak on your system, and you guys have an Edelbrock supercharger, you know, the Moroso tank will fit. It's actually a little bit smaller than stock. Maybe the size is a little bit different, but it just seems to be like a little bit narrower and allows you to get better access to the bolts and hoses. I know the stock one, like, I was struggling with that thing getting it out of there. But other than that, guys, this is pretty simple to put in. And, you know, it's a kind of a cheap, cool upgrade if you guys get sick of breaking the stock plastic tanks. If you guys don't have a supercharger, this swap should take like 15 minutes. You know, there's nothing in the way. The stock intake tube might be in the way, but honestly, guys, that's like 3 more inches to the left. You know, it's not, it doesn't come out, it doesn't have a curve in it and go over. It's just straight. So if your car is stock or you have a supercharger on the other side, like a ECS or an A&A or Pro Charger, you know, you guys should have plenty of room to swap that tank out. Us Edelbrock guys and even the Magna Charger guys with that new newer Heartbeat kit, we're gonna have a little bit more of an issue because we're dealing with the snout in the way. So if you guys like the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. Thanks and have a great day.